processes and universal laws, there's still more.
Yo, hey friends. I'm going to try to capture at this moment what I'm trying to do, but I'm limited. There's several limitations here. Let me turn down this radio for a minute, even though this is better stuff to listen to than me yapping. Turn it down a little bit. I'm trying to hold the camera more steadily, but I want to indicate, or at least try to capture this. This tail panel is on, but the trunk floor that's underneath here is a generic, as I told you in the videos, a generic piece. So it's meant to fit a Spider. So as you know from as I said, the previous videos, you know that I've had to trim this down, weld in coupons from the top. But as I get under here, the problem I'm having is getting my big hands in these tools in here to dress down these welds underneath them. I'm able to get some of them sort of okay, but I'm not able to get all of them perfectly or the way I'd like to. But in an area like this where the gas tank goes, I have a lot of room. But in an area like here, and I'm going to move the phone and the camera, where the spare tire goes, the amount of available space gets very, very tight. So my problem is in getting up in here, the tools to grind down those welds. It's very tough. And you can see some of the rawness in there of the welds. And I don't know what that clump is right there. I think it's probably a little bit of copper. But this rawness right here, I'm trying to remove and dress down before I spray the undercoating in here. So, but I just don't have the tools to get up in there. It's amazing how small this area is. Now, of course, you'll remember that this area right here, that entire panel piece was a custom manufactured piece. I had to build that myself. Sorry about the air compressor kicking on, but that layer right between here that's sandwiched in, that's panel bond, but it's not an adequate bond, so I'm going to dig that out and going to crunch those two layers of metal together and plug weld that as one. I suspected that panel bond would probably not stick because of all the heat and all the welding and all the work that we've done to it, which is fine. It's not a big deal. I'll go ahead and just fix that. But I wanted to show you the underside of this Alfa Romeo, just how much work goes into making a custom trunk pan to fit using aftermarket parts. Now the next Alfa Romeo GTV that comes in from Richard, they make the piece, they make the whole pan specific to the GTV, which we will buy that one if he needs it, which he probably will need it, but we don't know yet. But I just wanted to show you how this fits, what it looks like, all that good stuff. All up in here, we put some body filler in that. We're gonna have to try to sand that down the best we can and grind down some of those welds, because remember the quarter panel on both sides had to be sliced a bit. Had to slice it a bit to widen it out to make the gaps consistent with the deck lid. So that's how that's looking. It's a lot of work to get in there. I've got a long sandpaper file with a long extension on it from Northern Tool, but I gotta go over there and get some more sandpaper pieces, which is fine. We gotta do it, but trying to get this Alfa Romeo done and get it out of here to Doug up in Irving to get it painted. But we still got to do some more work under here. Got to put some undercoating in these areas. And the factory had a black undercoating, whereas we put, and it was my choice, and the owner approved it, this gray undercoating. But because it's very thin, I'm going to go ahead and put some more on it. I'm going to use black. The black undercoating, do the whole thing again, including the backside here, and make it the way it's supposed to be. Because when the car comes back, I don't want to do any work on the outside that might chip the paint. So all this hard work we're doing now up front to get this thing done so we can get the car out of here, so when it comes back, we don't have any paint issues. Because that would be a real disaster if I had to repaint the car. So we're not going to do that. So anyways, that's what it is. And Lily is doing Bondo, actually body filler, up in here on the wheelhouse. Since I'm here talking, just to reiterate, I had to split the outer wheelhouse in half to fit it in, to fit the quarter panel in, and then put this part back in. Now remember, the car was hit, the wheelhouses were compromised, they were bent up, so I had to do that. I was part of the refabricating, reshaping process. And that weld seam right there, we just want to put some filler on that, seam it in really nicely. And then up in here, we did the same on this side, but we used the panel bond, more of as an experiment, to run it in there. And it looks pretty good, and that'll be ready for some primer and some undercoating and get this thing done. And then of course, before the undercoating, we're gonna have to seam seal the entire car underneath it. All these little nooks and crannies and crevices and cavities and such, we're gonna just seam seal it and get it all good to go. And get this car done. This little baby is ready to go. Soon to be ready to go. Okay, 7.5 minutes. It's a long time for me to yap. See ya. Tschüss.